Hey guys, today we're going to look at an experiment called pyramid power. Do pyramids have some kind of mysterious powers? All around the world, ancient builders created pyramid-shaped structures in places like Egypt, India, Mexico, etc. Do they have some unknown effect on our bodies? Some people claim that the pyramidal structure itself is very special and has some strange powers. In this experiment, I'm going to test if pyramid structures have strange effects or not. So I have created a pyramid made of granite. The base is made of one granite slab, and I can lift the whole thing up and you can see that it is hollow inside, just like Egyptian pyramids. I'm going to cut some fruits and vegetables and put some pieces inside the pyramid, and I will leave some pieces outside the pyramid. And I want to find out if there is any difference on how they decompose or degrade over a period of time. Just think of the apple as a human body and we can see what happens. I want to make this experiment as scientific as possible, so I have also created this granite house. It has windows and a door, but they're all going to be shut closed. It has a granite slab as a base, and the top can be removed and closed. Now, what is the need for this granite cube? This is important to determine if the shape of the pyramid has anything to do with preservation or growth of cells and not the material. Look at the pyramid and the house. These two objects are made of the exact same material and have almost identical volume of air inside. The only difference is the shape. So if there is a difference in deterioration, we can conclude it is because of the shape of these objects, since the material, the volume inside, and the fruits are all the same. Now, here I have an apple, a banana, an eggplant, also known as brinjal, and a potato. I'm going to cut all of them into 4 pieces, and I'm going to leave one piece outside in open air, one piece inside the stone house, and one piece inside the pyramid. While these fruits and vegetables will tell us how degradation happens in these 3 settings, it does not show about the growth of the body. So I wanted to study this and decided to take a few small cups, fill them with soil, and put fenugreek seeds inside them. I will put one inside the stone house and one inside the pyramid, but I will not leave one outside, because if I leave one outside, it will get light while the other 2 structures are totally dark. here we have 2 fruits and 2 vegetables, and I've made them into 4 pieces each. And then I also have some fenugreek seeds. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put 1 piece of apple here, 1 piece of banana here, 1 piece of tomato here, and 1 piece of eggplant here. Now this, I call it open space, okay? Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to open the stone house, and I'm going to put the same thing here. I'm going to put 1 piece of apple. I'm going to put 1 piece of banana. I'm going to put 1 piece of potato. And I'm going to put 1 eggplant. Now in the center, I'm going to put these fenugreek seeds. Of course, like I told you, I won't do it outside because this gets sunlight while the pyramid and the stone house will not. So I'm not going to do that. Okay, so I close this up. Now moving to the pyramid, I'm going to do the same. I'm going to open this. This is kind of heavy, but I'm going to try and open this. And I'm going to put 1 piece of apple and 1 piece of banana, 1 piece of potato here, and then a piece of eggplant here. And I'm going to put this fenugreek seeds here. And then I'm going to close this up very careful so I don't break my fingers. So this is how the entire setup looks today, and this is day 1. So I'm going to come and see how everything looks after 24 hours. So today is day 2. It's been almost 24 hours. So let's take a look at these fruits and vegetables. Now, these are the fruits and vegetables in the open space. So let's see how they look. Now, here's the apple, and you can see it's beginning to decay. You can see that the color is changing. It's not completely bright anymore. You see some minor dark spots, but not a whole lot of change in the apple. Now, here is the banana, and you can see a lot of changes in the banana. You can start to see these really dark areas, which is a sign of decay. Now, this is why I put the banana, because the banana shows a lot faster degradation than apple, simply because I think it has more moisture in it. Okay, so this is how the banana looks. Now let's look at the vegetables. Now here's the potato. Okay, now you can see that the potato has almost lost its color. It's almost looking black. On many areas, it's almost looking black. Now the really interesting part about this is that this is starting to dry up. It's starting to lose its moisture, and you can see the wrinkles on its skin. Now this is very interesting because the fruits are starting to decay while the vegetables are starting to shrink. Now you can see the same pattern with the eggplant or brinjal as well. Now you can see it's starting to shrink. It's almost showing signs as though you can see nerves or blood veins. You can see the lines up here, and you can see it's lost its moisture and it's starting to shrink. Now these are the changes we see in the open space. Let's move to the granite house and see if there are any differences between what's inside and what's outside. First, let's take a look at the apple. Now here we're looking at the apple, and it's very interesting to see this apple because you can tell right away that the apple is much more fresh and intact when you compare it with the apple on the outside. There's a lot of difference because you can see right away that there is a big difference. Now, I'm going to leave the apple here outside so I can compare it and show you. But let's look at the banana and see how the banana looks. Now here you can see the banana, and the banana also does not show a whole lot of difference, even though you can see some difference, but it's remained relatively intact. So this is the deal with banana. Now let's look at the potato. Here's the potato. It's starting to discolor. It's starting to show some changes in color, but there's not a whole lot of difference. And it definitely has not lost a lot of moisture, unlike what's on the outside. So there's a lot of difference. So let's look at the eggplant or brinjal and see how it looks. It's very surprising what's happened to the brinjal. If you take a look at this, it actually has droplets of water on its surface. Now, I don't know what this means, but when you actually take a look at it, it appears as though it's releasing water or water is condensing on top of it. It's remained relatively fresh, but on top you can see water droplets. It looks much better than what's outside. Now, one last thing. Remember, we put some seeds in a cup. I'm going to show you how that looks. Okay, so I don't see anything growing. Well, I do see something growing, but it's definitely not coming outside the soil, not yet. I don't see anything on top, but when I look through the glass, I can see that the seeds are starting to germinate. It's very interesting to see this. So you can see that the fruits and vegetables inside the house are a little bit fresh when you compare them with what's in the open space. Now let's go to the pyramid and see what's happened to the fruits and vegetables inside the pyramid. This is quite heavy. This is very, very heavy. I think I hit the banana a little bit when I was moving this, but I think that it should be fine. Now, let's look at the apple and see how the apple looks. Now, the apple looks much better than what's outside. However, I would say there is no difference between the apple inside the stone house and the apple inside the pyramid. Both of them look pretty intact, have not gone through a lot of decay. Now here we can see the banana, and the banana, I've hit the banana with the top of the pyramid a little bit, but if we ignore that, the banana looks pretty intact, although you do see some discoloration here. It's not undergone a lot of decay, but you can see that there is some discoloration starting to appear. So this is how the banana looks. Now if you look at the potato, pretty much looks like what's inside the stone house. This is on day 2. So it's not dried up, it still has the moisture, and it's not shrinking, the skin looks pretty intact. Now so far I don't see any difference between what's in the granite house and what's in the pyramid. Now here, this is the eggplant. Now the same thing, you're able to see some water droplets on this, and it's a little bit dry, about the same as how this looked. Now, one interesting thing is that I do see some moisture collected on this. I don't see a whole lot of that happening in the stone house. Now, if you want to know what I mean, now here you can see a lot of like water droplets collected here. Okay, so it pretty much looks the same. Now let's look at the fenugreek seeds, see if anything happened. I do not see a whole lot of things happening inside the pyramid. I don't see any germination. I think the seeds are just remaining as seeds, or they're just waiting to sprout. So this is day 2, and you've seen how the fruits and vegetables and seeds look in various structures and in open space. Now I'm going to put everything back, come back tomorrow on day 3, and I will let you know what happens, okay? So this is day 3. So it's been 48 hours since we put the fruits and vegetables in the open space, in the house, in the pyramid. And we're going to see how these look after 48 hours. So let's take a look at the apple first. The apple shows a lot of shrinkage. You can see a lot more darker spots appearing on the apple. The skin is starting to see some heavy dents. The skin is shrinking considerably. So this is how the apple looks. It's you can definitely tell it's been 48 hours. Now let's look at the banana. The banana looks very black now. You can still see some white spots, but the banana, most of the banana looks black. Now we're going to look at the potato. The potato skin is covered with like a blackish layer now. The skin appears severely wrinkled, and it's losing all its moisture. And there's almost no moisture. There's only a little bit of moisture left in the potato, but you can see even the size has reduced because it's basically shrinking. And here's the eggplant or brinjal. Significant shrinkage in the eggplant. You can see a lot of vein-like lines appear on the eggplant. This is basically dried up. That's how I feel about it. There's no moisture inside the eggplant. It's basically dried up, and the skin, you can see a lot of dents on the skin. Okay, so this is how the eggplant looks at the end of 48 hours. So you see how the fruits and vegetables look in the open space. Now let's go to the house and see how the fruits and vegetables look inside the house. Let's see if there's any difference between what's in the house and what's in the open space. First, let's look at the apple. The apple looks pretty good. The apple has remained largely intact. We see only a very few brown spots on the apple. It's not lost its moisture, and the skin looks pretty intact. There is no significant shrinkage as of yet. So I can tell you that the apple has been preserved a lot better inside this granite house when compared to what's in the open space. Now let's look at the banana. Here's the banana, and you can see even the banana looks a lot better than what's in the open space. You don't see a lot of black spots. It still looks pretty white. It still looks like the banana has not started to decay. This is actually very interesting to see how fruits and vegetables are getting preserved when they are inside granite structures. Now let's look at the potato and see how the potato did. The potato looks very good. The potato has not shrunk. The skin of the potato looks almost intact. I don't see a lot of difference when we cut it. Now remember, this is after 48 hours and the potato looks pretty good. There is no layer of black or whitish layers forming on top of this. So this is how the potato looks. Even the potato did a lot better than what's in the open space. Now let's look at the eggplant. The eggplant is starting to dry up. You can tell that the eggplant does not look the same as what we saw yesterday. Yesterday, the eggplant remained almost intact, like it's almost new. But today, I can see some shrinkage in the eggplant. Another interesting thing that we noted yesterday, we saw some water droplets, some moisture on top of the eggplant. We can still see the same water droplets in the eggplant, okay? The skin is slowly starting to shrink in the eggplant. It's not remained intact. Now this is a development from yesterday because we did not see a lot of shrinkage in the skin yesterday, but today we can start to see some shrinkage in the skin of the eggplant. Now remember, we put a cup with fenugreek seeds, and yesterday we saw some germination going on. Let's see what happens today. Very interesting to see. We can see a lot of seeds beginning to germinate. It's very interesting. You can see the seeds sprouting, not just one or two. Many of them have started to, I can see the growth on many of the seeds, on the sides and on the top. Remember, there is no sunlight. We have kept this closed all the way. Throughout the day and night, we have kept the stone door closed. But even then, we are starting to see some significant growth in these seeds. Let's go to the pyramid and see if the stuff inside the pyramid did better than what's in the stone house. So you can see the fruits and the vegetables inside the pyramid. First, let's look at the apple. I would say the apple looks pretty similar to how the apple looks inside the stone house. I don't see a lot of black spots. The apple has remained almost intact, although I do start to see some brown spots appearing on it. I don't see a lot of shrinkage on the skin as well. Overall, I think the apple has remained pretty intact inside the stone pyramid. Now let's look at the banana. Now remember, I hit the banana with the edge of the pyramid yesterday, so that's starting to slowly decompose. I think mostly because of the damage that was done to it. It has a mixture of black and white spots. It looks about the same as how the banana in the stone house looks. I don't see a lot of difference, but that's how the banana looks. Now let's look at the potato. The potato does not show a lot of difference. I don't see the potato shrinking at all. The potato seems to be holding moisture inside it very well. Now let's look at the eggplant. The eggplant has started to shrink. Just like the eggplant on the stone house, it's starting to shrink, although I do see some water droplets on it. There is some moisture in the eggplant. The skin of the eggplant looks pretty intact. I don't see a lot of shrinkage on the skin of the eggplant. Now let's look at the seeds, the fenugreek seeds in the pyramid. I can see some of the seeds coming out about the top of the soil. Inside also, I can see some germination, although it's not as much as what we see in the stone house. The pyramid shows some seeds germinating, but not a whole lot. And this is very interesting to me because I can only see a few on the top and only a few on the sides when I look at it. So this is day 3 and you've seen how everything looks. I'm going to put everything back in place and then we're going to come back on day 4 and then see what's happened to the fruits, vegetables, and seeds. So I hope, the pyramid and the stone house show a significant difference from the fruits and vegetables on the outside. So let's come back and see what happens tomorrow. So today is day 4, 72 hours have passed, and let's see how the fruits and vegetables look in the open space. Now first, this is the apple. The apple has shrunk considerably. You can see a lot of shrinkage. Nobody can eat it anymore. You can see how the skin has started to get a lot of curves. You can see everything has shrunk. It still has some white spots, but it's starting to look brown now. So this is how the apple looks. You can tell right away that the apple has shrunk considerably. Now let's look at the banana. Now I don't even feel comfortable touching the banana because it's completely become black and it's sort of become like a jelly. So I'm afraid that this will become very sticky. Look at the banana. You can see it's completely black. There are almost no white spots at all. So this is how the banana looks. Now let's look at the potato. The potato does not look bright anymore. It's become completely dark. You can see a coat of fungus starting to form on top of this. The fungus is basically white. It looks like, cotton. But you can see that it's deteriorating fast. And then you can start to see that the skin of the potato is shrinking rapidly. So that's how the potato looks in the open space. Now let's look at the eggplant, aka brinjal. The eggplant is showing some interesting signs. The eggplant has decayed quite a lot. You can see these really dark black patches on the eggplant. This is fungus, and if you look at the skin, the fungus has taken over the skin. The color has changed from dark purple to black, and then the black color has become brown wherever the fungus has formed. The eggplant has shrunk considerably, and you can tell that the eggplant is starting to deteriorate really, really fast. So this is how the eggplant looks on day 4 after 72 hours. Now let's go to the stone house and see how the fruits and vegetables and the seeds are doing inside. Now here, you can see the apple. Now the apple does show some brown spots, but other than that, it looks relatively fresh. The apple has not undergone a lot of decay. You can tell that the apple looks pretty much intact other than the brown spots. Here, I don't see a whole lot of wrinkles on the skin either. So that's how the apple looks on day 4. Now let's look at the banana. Now this is how the banana looks. You can tell that the banana is also decaying, but it's not decaying as fast as what's in the open space because you can still see a lot of bright spots. You can see bright streaks and dark streaks, alternating. For example, you can see this dark line here, and you can see this bright line here. So that's what the banana is looking like. Now, I'm going to show you the potato. The potato is in very good shape. The potato looks almost like it's fresh. Now, this is after 72 hours, but the potato is not showing any sign of deterioration, and this is surprising because you can tell that the potato is still looking juicy. It has a lot of moisture in it. It has not undergone any decay. I don't see any fungus forming on it, and I don't even see a lot of changes in the skin. I don't think the skin is starting to shrink, not yet. So that's how the potato looks. Now I'm going to show you the eggplant. See how the eggplant looks. Now the eggplant has dried up. Yesterday the eggplant was still juicy. It had water droplets on top of it, but today I do not see any water droplets because the eggplant has started to dry up, and I do see some fungus starting to form on this, but this is very less when compared to what's on the open space. So the eggplant has started showing signs of decay, but it's not as fast as what's in the open space. And you can tell that the skin is also starting to shrink. We saw that the eggplant had a lot of water droplets on top of it. All of that is gone after 72 hours. So this is how the eggplant looks after 72 hours. Now I'm going to take a look at the seeds. Okay, so now I can see a lot of seeds coming out. I would say at least half a dozen or more coming out on top of the soil that I put. I can also see seeds coming out from the sides. Yesterday it was a little bit less, but today I can see a lot of them. And underneath I can tell there's a lot of roots starting to come out. So this is, the seeds are still growing, even though there is no sunlight inside the house. So you've seen how the fruits and vegetables and seeds look inside the stone house. Let's go to the pyramid and see how everything did inside the pyramid. So there are some interesting things about how the fruits and vegetables and seeds have been preserved in the pyramid. Let's look at the apple first. The apple looks pretty much the same. It has some white spots, although I do see some brown spots beginning to develop on the apple, which means that the apple has started to decay, but it's not completely decayed, not yet. The skin appears pretty fresh. I don't see any shrinkage at all in the skin. So the apple is in the state of beginning to decay, but it's not completely decayed yet. Now let's look at the banana. Now remember, I screwed up one part of the banana where I hit the banana with the edge of the pyramid. That part is showing some sign of decay. But again, the same thing, you can tell that the banana has some bright spots and also some black spots. The banana has started to decay, but the banana is not decayed as much as what's in the open space. So you see some bright spots and some dark spots. So this is how the banana looks. Let's look at the potato. The potato looks remarkably fresh. There is a lot of moisture still in the potato. I do not see any signs of damage. The potato skin also looks pretty good. I do not see a lot of difference in the potato. Maybe the potato is showing some sign of shrinkage on the skin, but other than that, there is no sign of fungal infection. There is no sign of anything else in the potato. Let's look at the eggplant. The eggplant has dried up. There are no water droplets I see on the eggplant. Actually, I do see some very small water droplets on the eggplant, which means that the eggplant is still retaining its moisture. So the eggplant is actually doing better than what's in the stone house. Maybe the shape of the pyramid has to do something with the preservation, because another important thing, I do not see any sign of serious fungal damage. It's not been infected with fungus yet. Now, this is the big difference between what's in the pyramid and what's in the stone house. That's how the eggplant looks in the pyramid. Now, let's look at the seeds. Right away, you can tell that the seeds are not growing as fast as what's in the stone house. This is very interesting because I had assumed that the seeds in the pyramid would grow faster than what's in the stone house. But this experiment is proving me wrong, because I can only see 2 or maybe 3 seeds germinating on top of the soil. This is very interesting to see. Now, on the sides also, I do not see a whole lot of seeds germinating. This is the big difference between what's in the stone house and what's in the pyramid, because apparently what's in the pyramid is not growing faster. And if you look at the bottom, you can see some roots beginning to grow at the bottom, but when you compare it with what's in the stone house, it's only about half. So the growth of the seeds is only about half of what's in the stone house. So this is the big difference between the seeds in the pyramid and the seeds in the stone house. And it's very interesting to notice that the seeds are not growing very fast in the pyramid. Now, this is how everything looks at the end of 72 hours. So today is day 5. So it's almost about 100 hours since we put all the fruits and vegetables and seeds in these different setup. You can tell right away that the fruits and vegetables outside are heavily damaged. I don't even feel comfortable touching them with my hands. So I'm going to put some gloves on, and then we'll examine them closer, okay? So let's take a look at the apple first. And you see the apple is shrinking further. It's dried up. It's almost completely shriveled. There are no bright spots. It's become rather brownish in color. The skin has a lot of ridges because it's been shrinking. And you can tell right away that the apple has lost all its moisture. So that's how the apple looks after about 100 hours. The banana, I don't even feel comfortable touching the banana because it's almost like jelly, okay? And you can tell, you see that the banana is so soft now, the surface of the mat that I have is actually making an imprint on the banana. So the banana has no bright spots at all, and it's become completely dark. Let's look at the potato. The potato has shrunk to a considerable extent, but what really interests me is that it has a lot of fungal infection. There's like a coat of cotton-like white layer on top of this, and the skin has undergone a lot of wrinkles. Now let's look at the eggplant. The eggplant has undergone a lot of fungal attack. You can tell that this is in no shape to even be touched with bare hands. I don't even know if I'm going to hold on to this for the next day, because I mean there is some serious fungal growth on top of this. It's completely dried up, and the skin is, you see that the skin has almost, let's say about 60% of it has discolored because of the fungal attack. It's become brown. The rest of the skin is also beginning to completely shrink, and I think maybe tomorrow or day after, it would have completely being taken over by fungus. So this is how the fruits and vegetables in the open space look on day 5. Now let's go to the stone house and let's see how the fruit, seeds, and vegetables look in the stone house. First, let's look at the apple. The apple has started to get a lot of brown spots, more than what we saw yesterday. I believe we only saw like 1 or 2 small spots, but you can tell that it's starting to decay. And what's more interesting is that now I'm starting to see some fungal growth on the apple as well. There's like a thin layer of cotton, fungal growth on the apple. But you do see that the apple is starting to decay. The apple has about, let's say, 25% of brown areas in it. So that's how the apple looks. Let's look at the banana. The banana has also started to deteriorate. Yesterday, the banana looked much better, but today, I can see a lot of difference in the banana. There's even a little bit of fungal growth on the banana, but there are almost no bright spots, only a very small area of bright spots on the banana, but the banana has also started to look like jelly now. So the banana has undergone a lot of deterioration in the last 24 hours, and that's surprising. Let's look at the potato. The potato looks much better in the stone house. I do see a very thin layer of fungal growth. I think it's fungal growth, but I'm not sure what it is, or maybe it's nothing. I don't see a whole lot of shrinkage on the skin as well. I can tell right away that the potato has not lost all its moisture and it is not shrinking. And now let's look at the eggplant. Okay, so the eggplant has undergone a lot of decay. There's like a major fungal growth taking over. You can tell maybe like 30% of the eggplant has been taken over by this fungus. Like here, you can see this black patch starting to appear. And on the skin, there's like a huge brown patch starting to develop. So that's how the eggplant looks. Other than that, it's almost completely dry now. It started to dry out. So now let's look at how the fenugreek seeds are doing. I can tell right away that the plants are starting to grow. About 8 or 9 seeds have started to come out, maybe about this high, I would say about half an inch. On the bottom as well, I can see about 10 roots starting to take over. And that's the interesting thing. Now remember, we're not giving sunlight to any of these. So even though there is no sunlight, the seeds are starting to grow inside these structures. You have seen how everything looks in the stone house. Let's go to the stone pyramid and see how everything looks. I'm really interested in finding out if the fruits, seeds, and vegetables behaved any differently than the one in the stone house. So I'm going to open the pyramid and see how everything looks. So now first look at the apple. So you can see that the apple has undergone some more decay. You can see a whole lot of brown spots, much more than what we saw yesterday. We do see some areas which are completely bright. These have not been affected. So remember, yesterday we saw a lot of brown spots, and today it's still decaying, but it's not decaying at a very rapid pace. I would say the apple in the stone pyramid looks about the same, or maybe there's a little bit more decay in this apple than the stone house, but I don't see as much fungal growth on this apple, and I think that's the big difference. There's some fungal growth on the area on which I damaged it. The banana has also deteriorated to a certain extent, but I'm surprised that it still has some bright spots. It appears as though the banana is doing much better in the last 24 hours, but that's how the banana looks. Or maybe this is just my bias. Maybe the banana looks about the same as the banana in the stone house. So that's how the banana looks. Let's look at the potato. The potato looks much better in the pyramid. I don't see a whole lot of shrinkage on the skin. I do see some shrinkage, but it's not a whole lot. The potato still retains the moisture. One interesting thing, there's no fungal growth on the potato. I don't see any. And that's how the potato looks. Let's look at the eggplant. The eggplant, actually I'm surprised that there is no fungal growth on the skin of the eggplant. I'm surprised at this actually, because the eggplant in the open space shows a whole lot of fungal growth. About 30% of the eggplant in the stone house has undergone some serious damage because of the fungus. But look at this one. It's very interesting because I don't see any fungal growth at all. And the skin, actually, there is no discoloration. The skin has not started to become brown. This is intact. So it appears that the pyramid is actually preserving this longer when compared to the stone house, and that's the big difference. Other than that, the eggplant has dried up. I don't see any water droplets anymore. Now remember, almost 100 hours have passed since we started doing this experiment. Maybe there's some decay here on one end, but it's very small. You can tell right away that the eggplant has not undergone a whole lot of decay. Now, the seeds, I think I see only just one more new seed coming out. Yesterday, I think I saw 2. Now, I see 3, but not a great amount of growth, okay? I don't think I see any changes from yesterday. So it appears that the seeds are not growing as fast as what's in the stone house. Yeah, even at the bottom, I only see about 3 or 4 roots taking over, when compared to the stone house. I think we saw about more than half a dozen in the stone house, but here definitely only about 3 or 4. And that's the major difference, because the seeds are not growing fast enough inside the pyramid. So these are the results on day 5 after about 100 hours. I want you to take a look at how the fruits, the vegetables, and the seeds have done in each setup. It appears that they are behaving differently in different places. So I just want you to think about how all the fruits, seeds, and vegetables are behaving in each setup, and think about why this is happening. And we'll come back tomorrow and let's take a better look and see if we can understand why this is going on. So we are on day 6. About 120 hours have passed, and we're going to take a look at how the fruits and vegetables did in the open space. As usual, we're going to look at the apple. The apple is in a very bad state, although it's not completely decomposed. Actually, what's happened is that the apple has completely dried up. It's completely dry and it's shriveled. I don't see a lot of like fungal damage or anything like that, but it's shrunk considerably. And even the skin has a lot of ridges, and this is how the apple looks now. Let's look at the banana. Okay, so the banana has also shrunk. It's become a little bit dry because I think it's lost most of its moisture, but it's completely black. It's also shrunk to a considerable extent. The surface of the banana is very curvy with lots of ups and downs. So that's how the banana looks. We're going to look at the potato. The potato has also shrunk in size, but there is a lot of fungus activity on here because the fungus is basically growing. The skin has also shrunk. Mostly I think it's because of the fact that there's a lot more air and the temperature is probably higher when compared to, the stone house, the pyramid, etc. So there is fungal activity. This part has become dry. The skin also shows a lot of wrinkles and has shrunk in size. Now finally we're going to look at the eggplant. I don't even want to touch the eggplant because it's completely covered in fungus. And you can tell that the fungus looks sort of black, right? There's a coating on the bottom. Look how terribly it's been infected. So this is how it feels weird just holding this. I may probably not be able to do this tomorrow. So that you can see a lot of fungal activity here. So this is how the eggplant looks. Let's look at the stone house and see how the fruits, vegetables, and the seeds in the stone house did. Let me open this up and see how everything looks. All right, first let's look at the apple. See how the apple looks. The smell is just really too much, so I'm gonna get a mask so I can show you how everything looks. Okay, I'm back with the mask because otherwise the smell is just intolerable. Now look at the apple. The apple is getting a lot of decomposition, right? The apple has a lot of dark areas completely taking over the apple itself. The skin does not look that bad actually. The skin looks pretty intact, but if you look at the flesh of the apple, you can tell that it's undergone a lot of decay. So the apple inside the stone house has started to deteriorate a lot. And I'm going to take a look at the banana. So the banana in the stone house looks about the same as the banana in the open space now. It's completely dark. In fact, it actually shows a lot of fungal spots on it. There are spots of fungus growing on top of this. It's completely become black. It's losing a lot of moisture, and it looks almost about the same as what we see in the open space. Now let's look at the potato. The potato looks much better than what's in the open space. I don't see a lot of decay on it, although I think it's become softer because I'm not sure if it's because of there's a small, tiny amount of fungal growth on top of the potato. But other than that, I can tell you right away that there's not a lot of wrinkles. You don't see the skin shrinking, and the potato has remained largely intact. I do see a little bit of fungal growth on it, but that's about it. Let's look at the eggplant. Okay. All right. The eggplant is decayed a lot. In fact, I can see a lot of moisture because you can see right away that the eggplant has decayed a lot. I don't even want to come close to this because it's really that bad. If you see here, almost the entire area is deteriorated. So this is how the eggplant looks. And you do see some fungal growth on top of this. I don't even think I can show you this eggplant tomorrow because it's almost completely decayed, right? The eggplant on the open space looks dry and is showing fungal growth, but the eggplant here is actually soggy and it's going to be completely gone tomorrow. The eggplant actually shows more decay than what's in the open space, and that's a big change. Okay, so let's look at the seeds and see how the seeds did. The seeds look about the same as what we saw yesterday. I don't see a whole lot of growth. I don't see a whole lot of drying up or withering away. The seeds look about the same. Yeah, at the bottom as well, I think the root growth has stopped. So this is how everything looks in the stone house. Now, seriously guys, I think I'm going to throw away the eggplant in the stone house because it's just too dangerous to have this kind of fungus growing and to inhale, all the spores or whatever you call it coming out because it just smells so bad. Now let's go to the pyramid and see how everything looks in the pyramid. So let's look at the apple first. It's weird because this part has undergone some decay. It's sort of becoming soggy here, and this part shows a little bit of fungus formation, but this part is relatively untouched. So it almost appears as though the apple is not as decayed as the apple in the stone house. The apple is still undergoing some decay, but it appears to be preserved a little bit better than what's in the stone house. Same thing with the skin as well. The skin also does not look much wrinkled, okay? So this is how the apple looks inside the pyramid. Now the banana. The banana is a little bit soggy. You can tell from the moisture that's collecting down here. I am still able to see some white spots. And that's the good part because the banana is not completely black, but I do see fungus growing. And that's the difference because I only see a little bit of fungus in the stone house, but the banana inside the pyramid is showing a lot of fungal growth, although it's not as dried up or as damaged as what's in the stone house. Let's look at the potato. The potato has not shrunk. I don't see a lot of wrinkles, just a tiny bit of wrinkling on the skin. I don't see much fungal growth on the potato. The potato still looks a little bit juicy because I think the moisture is still retained in the potato. Overall, when you compare with all the other stuff, the potato is usually pretty solid in all of them. But out of all these three setups, the potato in the pyramid looks the best. Now let's look at the eggplant. This is very surprising to me because the eggplant looks pretty solid, right? There's very little fungal growth on the eggplant. The skin looks pretty solid. And remember, the skin on the open space and the eggplant skin on the stone house look terrible, right? Now, this is why I had to wear the mask. But the eggplant in the pyramid actually looks pretty solid. It's not become soggy. You can tell there's no moisture here. And it's almost pretty intact. It's just a little bit dried up with a little bit fungal growth on top of this. Let's look at the seeds. Okay, so here's the thing, right? Because when you look at the seeds, yesterday I think I showed you only 2 seeds sprouting. I don't see any change at all. It appears that the seeds growing inside the pyramid is growing at a much slower rate than the stone house, because I don't see any growth at all. I don't see any changes at all. I don't see any development at all. And when we look at it from the bottom as well, I only see about 3 or 4 roots taking place. So that's how the seeds look in the stone pyramid. And so this is how the entire setup looks in the stone pyramid. Overall, we can tell on day 6 that the fruits and vegetables inside the pyramid are preserved much better when compared to the stone house and the fruits and vegetables in the open space as well. So the pyramid is doing a lot better in terms of preserving the fruits and vegetables. However, there's no growth also in the pyramid because the seeds are not growing as well. So the rate of decay is very slow, and the rate of growth is also very slow in the pyramid. So that's what I understand on day 6. Initially, I thought I was going to do a 7-day experiment, but I don't think I can take this anymore. I mean, this is just too dangerous even to breathe near this kind of decomposed fruits and vegetables. So I'm going to end the experiment, but I'm going to compare all the fruits and vegetables side by side. So I'm going to move the open space here. I'm going to put the house here. And I'm going to put the pyramid here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take each fruit and put it in the respective places so you can look at them all side by side. Now we can look at them side by side. So you can see that the apple in the open space has dried up, but it's not showing any sign of decay. There's also not a lot of fungal growth on the apple in the open space. But when you look at the apple in the stone house, it's undergone a lot of decay. It's become soggy. It's not dried like the one in the open space, but it's still become like soggy, and there's a lot of decay here. And that's the big difference. But when you compare this between when you compare the pieces from the stone house and the pyramid, you can see it's not that decayed yet. Well, you could argue they're decayed about the same amount, and maybe it's just my bias. But I think that the apple in the pyramid has been preserved to a larger extent. And the apple here has deteriorated, and the apple here has completely shriveled and dried up. And this is how we look at the apple between the open space, the house, and the pyramid. So here you can see I put the banana in the open space, and this is the banana in the house, and this is the banana in the pyramid. Now the banana in the open space has dried up, it's shrunk, and there are no white spots here. Now this banana, on the other hand, has also become completely black, but it also has fungal infection beginning to grow on this. And this is how this banana looks. Now this banana, on the other hand, it still has some white spots, not a whole lot, but it still has some white spots. Also has fungal growth growing on top of this. The only difference is that the banana in the pyramid actually has some bright spots on it. Now you can tell right away that the potato here has shrunk, it's become smaller, and shows a lot of deterioration. The potato here has a little bit of fungus growing on it, but it's only a little bit. It's not a whole lot. It still looks juicy. Now if you compare the skin, the Stonehouse looks much better. But look at this potato. And when you compare the potato in the pyramid with the potato in the Stonehouse, you can tell the potato in the pyramid does not have much fungal attack. It's been preserved better than the potato in the Stonehouse. And this is the big difference. Other than that, the skin of the potatoes look pretty much the same. But here you can see a layer of fungus forming, and here there's not much. And this is the key difference, because overall, if you look at all three, if you look at the potato in the open space, if you look at the potato in the house, and if you look at the potato in the pyramid, you can tell that the potato in the pyramid looks much better. Now we can see there is an enormous difference between these three eggplants. Now this is from the open space, this is from the Stonehouse, and this is in the pyramid. The eggplant in the open space is completely taken over by fungus, but the eggplant in the house is not on the top. However, let me turn this, and the eggplant has been completely taken over by fungus, but here, look how bad this has decomposed. The eggplant in the house is actually terribly decomposed here. Now let's compare it with the eggplant in the pyramid. I'm going to show you, it already looks better here, but when I turn, the eggplant actually looks pretty great in the pyramid. Now when you compare these two, this is the pyramid, this is the Stonehouse. It's completely taken over, but this is completely fresh. And when you look at all three of them, you can tell right away this has been taken over by fungus. This is also taken over by fungus, and it's decaying at a much rapid pace. But this eggplant in the pyramid has been well preserved. It's starting to dry up, but it's well preserved. The only area I see is this here and a little bit of fungus growing on. But otherwise, the eggplant in the pyramid looks much better. Even on the top, the eggplant in the pyramid looks way better than the eggplant in the Stonehouse and the eggplant in the open space. Okay, so you've seen that the fruits and vegetables in the pyramid have been preserved much better than when you compare with the Stonehouse or even open space. But let's see how things grew in the Stonehouse and the pyramid. Now remember, we did not put any seeds in the open space because I realized that the seeds in the open space would get light, and that would be a very big difference, right? That would make a very big difference, because when something gets light, maybe they grow faster. So I only put seeds in the Stonehouse and in the pyramid. So both of them are completely dark, both of them are made of granite, and both of them have about the same volume of air inside. So I figured the conditions would be the same. So these are the seeds in the house, and these are the seeds in the pyramid. And the results are a little bit surprising here, because I realized that the seeds in the house are growing much faster, and a lot of seeds are growing in the house. So this is how the things in the Stonehouse look, and this is how the seeds in the pyramid look. I can only see one or two, but if you compare them, it's just enormous. So there's a lot of difference between the two. Okay, so guys, as you can see, the experiment shows that the fruits and vegetables inside the pyramid are preserved much better than what's in the Stonehouse and what's in the open space. I think that's crystal clear. You may have some doubts, but overall, if you look at the fruits and vegetables, you can tell that the fruits and vegetables in the pyramid are preserved very well. However, here's the twist, right? Because I had expected that the seeds in the pyramid would also grow faster, but it does not. The seeds in the pyramid grow at a slower pace than the seeds in the stone house, which means even though the pyramid preserves organic material, it does not help the growth of organic materials. Now, one interesting thing that you need to think about is, why do we have these Egyptian pyramids, right? Many people argue that the primary purpose of Egyptian pyramids is to preserve mummified bodies, and which is why the shape of the pyramid has been able to preserve these materials much better than, a regular house or even open space. However, there is no reason for organic material to grow inside a pyramid, which is probably why, the seeds did not grow as fast as a stone house. So in conclusion, I believe that the pyramid preserves organic material to a much longer time than any other type of structures. But the pyramid also does not help organic materials to grow. Now remember, the fruits and vegetables we used were all really big. There is no reason for them to grow any further. But the pyramid made sure that these things were not decaying as fast as the other setups. However, when we put the seeds in the pyramid, the seeds did not grow. I hope you guys like this video. I am Praveen Mohan. Thanks a lot for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and also click on the bell button to get all the updates. Please give this video a thumbs up and do share it with your friends. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.